You'll notice that we're all in different locations, guys. I can't believe it's 2022. We're back in the field. We're attending shows. We're at conferences like Mark talked about. We wanted to do a 2021 wrap-up, a 2022 launch, and we thought we would just give you guys some tidbits about how ACDI operates as a successful organization. So moderating today is our one and only Summer Jones. So I will turn it over to her. She's going to explain the rules and invite you guys to our upcoming webinars as well. So thank you for moderating, Summer. Kick it off.
Of course, thank you. Yes, thank you, Jeff. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar today. And just like Jeff and Mark said, you know, we have thousands and thousands of people on today, but if by chance you do know of someone that isn't here today, just let them know that we record all of our webinars. We put them on our ACDI YouTube channel, usually about 1 to 2 days after we have our live webinars. So if you guys need a link for any of those or want this sent to anyone, let anyone on this call know, and we'll definitely get it sent out to them. So we'll kind of start off with how this webinar came to be. And this is because we always get reps, dealers, almost anyone that we come in contact with asking how they can help and how they can help support ACDI. So they see what we're doing and they pretty much want to be a part of it. And that's just a huge testament as to who ACDI is. And we pretty much combined that feedback with our one ACDI week that we just had in December. So for that, if you guys don't know, we had employees fly in from all over the world, and we got to host our 2022 planning as well as reflect on our 2021 recap. So it was pretty much one whole week of, you know, one dream, one vision, one ACDI. So to kind of honor that with our plans for the future, and we know all of our partners are planning as well, we wanted to kick off a webinar with the leaders of our organization. So we thought, what better way than to have our senior leadership come on and answer some questions about how to run an organization. So I'll introduce you guys if you don't already know them. We have Josh Lane, our president and CEO, and we have Greg O'Brien, our chief operating officer. We have Mark Hart, vice president of business development, and Jeff McWilliams, vice president of sales for America. So guys, thank you so much for being here today. Even though we are all virtual, I do appreciate it. I know we're all busy. So I do have a couple questions. Just like Jeff said, we'll kind of just popcorn around, keep it really simple, really laid back. And Josh, we'll start with you as well. So I did mention before, one ACDI is our theme for this year. So Josh, do you kind of want to talk about what that means and how this theme came to be? And just so you guys too, I sprinkled in. Let's go to
Let's go to the next slide. No, yeah, I would love to, but first and foremost, I think when we come to this presentation, and you guys that are attending, I know that you do have a lot going on, so we're appreciative of the time. But you know, like anywhere we go, anything we do, we want to give back. We want to give. We want to serve, and I think that's part of what we're doing today. We don't have all the answers, but we do have a lot of fun. We do have good ideas, and we do have recommendations of, you know, what we've seen successful in our organization in the past, what we think is going to be successful in the forward and for going forward. And you know, I'm excited to be here today. So thank you for attending. Hopefully we'll get positive feedback. Hopefully, you know, maybe you'll write 1 or 2 things down that you can take with you. But one ACDI is very important to us. And, you know, everyone on this call, I think, can understand that during COVID and remote work that has ensued following, that maybe you're a little bit fragmented. Maybe that you're not, you know, for us, we weren't fragmented, but we felt like we weren't clicking on all cylinders. And so we called a meeting in November, actually it was October, with our senior leadership team, and we said, let's look at 2021, and let's look at 2022. Who do we want to be? How do we want to be? Who do we want to serve? Where do we want to go? Those types of questions, and we threw out. And so in October, we're sitting in Midway, Kentucky, right outside of Lexington. Nothing but horse farms and bluegrass for as far as you can see, sitting next to Mark Hart's pool. And for 3 days, we hashed out the good, the bad, the ugly of ACDI. And at the end of the day, we were going through our takeaways. And so if you're not having senior leadership meetings, you're not having team meetings, and you're not planning ahead, you know, we first and foremost want to recommend you do that. But our takeaways, you know, started to kind of really go back into our team and who our people were, what our skill sets were, who was passionate, who was excited, who was aggressive. And And we realized we felt like we were on something big. We felt like we were on the cusp of 2022 that can be life-changing for all of us and for our partners. And like, well, how do we capitalize on that? You know, what's a theme that we can take forward when we bring everybody in and run with? And, you know, we started talking about, you know, PaperCut first and foremost, our flagship product, and how they've evolved from on-prem to now they've got a cloud, native cloud solution called PaperCut Hive that we feel like is going to expand all of our markets. You know, we've got a skilled professional services team that can implement and install PaperCut MF, MFS. We can host it. We can put it in the cloud. We can do just about anything combined with other products. And it's like, we have so much we can do, but we can't do it separate. You know, you guys have all heard that, you know, together we stand and, you know, divided we fall. I don't know how that goes. Forgive me for that, but
That's right.
yeah. And I think one of these smart guys on the phone said something about, you know, one ACDI. And we all looked at each other and said, you know what, let's coin it. And so to answer the question, really and truthfully, it's we have a lot going on, and in the definition, you read it: one dream, one vision, one platform, one company. You know, one platform can support a lot, and that's the intent. We feel like we can inject a lot of value into you guys, into our partners, and you know, with that said, let's go on to the next question.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. And I will say thank you guys so much for allowing us to have that event. I definitely think it was cool, you know, being on the business development team, getting to come together and meet with sales. That, you know, reminded us all that even though we do have our different roles, different departments, that we are still one and one ACDI. So I know with COVID, a lot of people aren't able to meet. So I do just want to thank you guys for allowing us to meet. It really was a great event. So moving on to the next question, I think, Jeff, I'll popcorn to you next. So, and as you guys can see, this is a wonderful picture of Jeff with his fanny pack there. You know, we don't judge anyone here. Well, men can have purses too. So,
Oh, no,
Jeff,
we judge. We definitely judge, especially when Jeff looks like that at a horse track.
Hey, we let Jeff be. So, Jeff, as salespeople, you know, we thrive on being in front of our customers, and it's kind of the lifeblood of what we do. In the last couple of years, with everything being locked down, have definitely looked different. So how do you lead and thrive through those virtual sessions, you know, customers being out of office, you know, people being in quarantine and just outside of their normal routine and selling norms?
That's a tough one to answer. I'd say, first of all, you get yourself a fanny pack, and maybe two, a small one that holds a phone, a wallet, and a pocket knife, and maybe something a little bigger for food, longer walks, types of adventures like that. Yeah, gosh, I can't believe it's almost been 2 years since we started working from home. And for those who don't have a regional exposure, it's happening again. So a lot of our resellers are working from home again or in a hybrid capacity. So a little bit of deja vu. Our conversations on the sales team changed dramatically when we were more disconnected than ever before. Some wanted to travel, some were afraid to, some couldn't wait to get back out and see dealers. Some dealers said, we'll open our bay doors, you guys come around the back, we'll have some chairs for you, we'll put up a big TV, I'll have my people sitting 10 feet apart. I don't care if it's March in upstate New York. I need you, we need people, no one's coming to see us. So we had a lot of fun conversations about where our partners were in taking guests, where their mental health was about vendor support, and what was going on in their lives personally. So I think the big thing for us is conversations have changed dramatically. For instance, what did you have for breakfast? And why is that important? Right? What are you eating? Are you sitting in your house stagnant, not leaving, doing anything, and you're just shoveling chips into your face? And that's one track you can go down. And some of us had to fight hard to walk away from that. So we have had a lot of conversations summer around, I would call it body, head, and diet. Are you moving? Are you eating well? How's your mental state? And then we start thinking about our partners. Where's their mental state? How can we support them where they are? And I'm talking like physically on site versus remote. We all get Zoom fatigue. Bless you people, all 72 million of you on this call. I appreciate every single one of you, but you're probably sick of this format as well. So we appreciate you once a month. So we've changed up how we present, how we engage, how we have contests. What are some trivia questions that we ask that incorporate product and process and programs and pricing? So if you haven't seen those, by all means, reach out to your RSM and find out. So that's where we are. I think in that question, I'm not really sure how to, except for maintain as close a connection with your team as possible and ask questions, not so much just about their professional lives, but also on the personal side, Summer.
That's great advice. And if you guys don't, have a pen and paper handy, I definitely take note of that, write that down. Just because, sales is about relationships. It's, about a step further, just like Jeff was saying, asking about their breakfast, their kids, anything like that. So, taking it one step forward for sure is definitely something to take into account. And guys, do you have anything that you guys want to add to what Jeff said? It was very well said.
No, I think it was key, right? And Jeff and the team did a great job. When people were getting back to the office, it was based on regions. Western Canada was able to come back quicker. Raj, one of our reps, was out there making sales calls while the other guys on the East Coast were jealous, right? Because they were really locked down. But the team, did what they needed to do to get out there to support their partners and adapt to the environment that we were given over the last couple of years.
Exactly. All right. And so, Mark, I think I'll popcorn to you next.
We probably could skip mine, but yes, we could.
Oh, no, we are not missing the chance to talk about Paco. Not at all. Your god dog, no.
He is my god dog. Paco is a wonderful little fella. He's actually Jeff's dog, but I like to, hold him and own him anytime I can. I got to meet him the very first day Jeff brought him home, or his family brought him home, and didn't know anything about it. But anyway, Paco's a great guy, and he likes to show up on a lot of our webinars, but Jeff's in Arizona today, so no Paco. But Jeff, please pass along my hellos to Paco for me, okay? All right, good.
Okay.
So, when we talk about balance and priorities, Summer is on our team in the business development team, and she joined in August, and she'd probably say that that's the one thing that I fail out the most is offering balance in life and what's going on. It's more like a juggling most of the time. But it's fun, and that's why I really love being part of this ACDI business development team. We have a motto here that we like to meet you where you are as a partner, and some of our partners are asking us for new things, new technologies every day, right? And so our team, our mission statement that we have is to discover, develop, and commercialize new products and services to help shape the future of our business and our partners. And I think that's what we really get to thrive in. And so when we look at what do we need to focus on today versus 6 months now or versus a year, we get that feedback from our partners and from our ACDI sales staff who's out there with the partners every day, listening to what's going on, what's the feedback, right? What do they need to help drive their business further in the future? And that's been a big part of what we do, right? The other thing to help us balance and adapt for the future is attending shows and events. Now, last couple of years, it's all been remote, but now they're opening back up. Josh and I got to attend the ECS, the Executive Connection Summit, hosted by Mike Stromalio and team last week in Phoenix. Summer is sitting in a hotel somewhere in Orlando as she is attending FETC. It's an education show, trying to learn how we can promote our partners like PaperCut and Elitech and ACDI Storyboard in the education market, looking for trends and new ways to drive initiatives in education. So, we're always here. We're eager to learn how we can drive new initiatives for our imaging channel, whether it's cloud, SaaS. I've heard something about EV chargers, any of that kind of stuff. We're always here to learn. So if you got some ideas and you want to share them, throw them our way.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. And I know you did mention talking about shows and events, and I know that's a big topic for everyone right now just because we haven't had them in so long, and now that they're just starting back up, people want to know what they should go to, if it's worth, their time or not. So do you have any events in specific or shows that you recommend going to or people should plan on going to in the future?
Yeah, if I can recommend one, everybody get your pens out, write down on your calendar, February 17th. Our partner PaperCut is hosting a partner summit. We're really, really excited about this event. We get to all learn all things PaperCut, what's coming up for them in 2022. They do have a keynote speaker coming from IDC. And I've heard, it's not confirmed, that there might be an instance of Chris Dance showing up on this event, on this webinar. So we'll get to hear the man, the myth, the legend himself come in and talk about, what's on the horizon for PaperCut. Josh mentioned it earlier with Cloud and the Hive product. We've got some great things coming down with Multiverse, with a new thing, if you haven't heard about it yet or starting to hear about it, PaperCut Grows. So a lot of initiatives happening with PaperCut in 2022 that we're all very, very excited about. So if you can, spend some time with us on February 17th and listening in on that webinar. We've got some others that we're out here helping to promote as well. Elitech is hosting a webinar on February 16th talking about authentication solutions for higher education, right? I'm really excited about this webinar to learn about new digital credentials and what that means moving forward, moving away from the traditional cards that we're all used to or badges and moving into a managed credential world. So that'll be a good webinar. We're always out promoting the BTAs, the CDAs, the BPCA kind of meetings, national events like the NPSA. Those are also great avenues to learn from your peers about what's going on, what do they see, and what are they seeing in a specific area. And then finally, always I'll put a plug in for our team. If you have time, join our monthly webinars. We're trying to put new ideas forth in every one of our webinars that our ACDI team is hosting, and so join those. There's lots of ways for you to get new ideas and new initiatives coming down for our channel.
Awesome, thank you, Mark. And I think the big thing on shows and events and everything is just being able to learn. I am a recent college graduate, and that's one piece of advice that all my professors left me with is, never be afraid to stop learning, stop taking in information. Be a sponge. And that's one thing I can say is, even if you see a webinar topic that you think, oh, I know everything about that, don't be afraid to join, because more than likely you're always going to learn something. So that's definitely some advice that I'm all with. All right.
And Summer, I will say something that, the learning is key, right? Our industry, we use a lot of acronyms. There's a lot to learn about our industry. Greg's been with us for the past year. He's come a long way with understanding what our industry is and who ACDI is and what we offer. Summer joined us, in August of this past year. Guys, I'll never forget the very first day at the end, she and I had a conversation. Look at her, she's laughing now. And I said, how's it going? She said, Mark, I got a few questions for you. She said, first one, what's an OEM? I don't understand what this is, industry. So again, she's come a long way in a few months, and kudos to you for that. But you're right. It's the learning. It's getting out here, not being afraid to pick up a phone, call someone, ask a question, talk to your peers. It goes a long way.
Exactly. Thank you, Mark. And I was completely new to the channel and the industry and everything, I will say. So it was a valid question. But Greg, I'll popcorn to you next. You could have guessed it. And like I said, Greg's been with us for about a year now, so we really value him. And you are Chief Operating Officer, so operations are crucial to you and everything that we do. So most often, you're gleaning through information on spreadsheets and objective facts and everything, but running a sales organization is a lot different because, you are leaning on the non-empiricals and anecdotal information. So how do you think you balance the two, those and then duck hunting as well? So.
Great. Great question, Summer. First of all, this being my first official webinar for ACDI, I just want to give a special thanks to everyone who's attending and just tell you how honored I am to be working alongside such a good group of folks like yourself and Josh and Mark and Jeff. Definitely a talented group of folks. But you're right. It is a balance. It's a balance between the non-empirical, kind of touchy-feely, what's out there versus the more objective data facts. What we try to focus on is the need for speed to get to a decision. And I think the recipe for that for us is to first start with our people. Let's listen to our folks. Let's hear what the vibe on the streets are. Let's get a position that we want to take first and foremost. And then from that, then we'll work on getting the more objective facts to help support that position. And it's objective facts in the data set. Every organization has them. I'll tell you, there's two key benefits from that objective fact scenario. One is it helps support your position. If someone has hey, I got a good feel, I just think this is going to happen. So it helps you support that position, but it also provides a more transparent, consistent platform to communicate with. Probably more important with larger teams and larger groups of people, but it definitely provides that. One of the other things that what I would say was things that we try to stay away from is we try to never skip the listening to our people. If you have an objective fact pattern that leads you to a certain decision, if you don't have buy-in with your team members, it's a recipe for failure. So we definitely, I think we do a good job of balancing that, but we start with the people side first and then work with the objective side to help solidify our position.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Now, you and Josh specifically have, worked hard on that, putting value back into our employees. And it's definitely something that, I've noticed as an employee of ACDI that you guys do a great job of and playing into our culture as well. And that topic of culture kind of leads into our next question. So Josh, I'll popcorn to you. And like I said, culture is something that's, really important with ACDI, and it always has been. So if you kind of want to talk to us on continuing to, cultivate the culture during, a tough time and leading an environment, and kind of talk about, our motto, how does better than yesterday, and our core values kind of play into that culture.
Oh, I'd love to, but I'm sure that these other gentlemen might have a few things to say about our culture. First and foremost, some of you guys know this, and I don't know that we're the authority of it. I've read hundreds of books on culture, and everyone talks about culture, but the one thing that I think is true is it starts with authenticity, and that's from top down, down up, and that's something that I think we stand behind, and we ask ourselves, and I see some leaders on here on the attendees list, and you ask yourself, are we truly values driven? Is our company principle led? And if you can't answer that yes, then you need to step back. And if you're doing that, I think you bring on like-minded people, and you recruit, the people with similar values. And I think for us, we've been really successful doing that. But I've surrounded myself with, I'm not the fun guy, but our people and culture manager and Mark and Jeff, they can bring enthusiasm into just about anything, and I think that goes a long way. And we do play ping pong. We do play foosball. We do a lot of different things to mix it up. But ideally, we want someone who's going to be genuine. And when I say that, you could be genuinely bold. You could be genuinely aggressive. Somebody who's comfortable in their own skin. And then, so whatever that trait is, if our people and culture manager and our leaders and the team leads feel like, hey, that characteristic fits into the so-called puzzle that we call ACDI culture, then we're going to bring them on board. And by having a system that we vet team members through, I feel like we've been able to maintain a culture over, a couple decades now that is one that is supportive of not only the people on this team, but the people on this call, our partners, that it extends outwardly. And so you see on the screen better than yesterday. Very simple, easy to remember. And I promise you, we say that probably 10 times a day. And the next step is, do we hold ourselves accountable? What have we done today to be better than yesterday? Have you opened up a book? Have you had a conversation? Have you mentored somebody? Have you talked to a partner? There's a million different things that you can apply or hold up against that mission statement for ACDI, but it's something that I'm proud of. And one last thing, I kind of wanted to add this because I think it's important that, the culture kind of dictates a lot of different things. And one of the things that I wanted to add is, if our culture's right, and we're hiring the people that have similar values, then more than likely we're selling to the right customers, Like, as I said, we're hiring the right people. We're working and attracting, like-minded partners. And at the end of the day, it's not just ACDI that's better. It's everyone. And, I stand behind that. And I think, you look at our partnerships we've had with PaperCut. When they came on board in 2010, there was backlash because they drank too much coffee. They're spending too much time in the cafe. Are they really developing software? Some of you guys won't remember that, but ultimately that their culture won over as well, and it warmed the hearts of many Americans and South Americans and people all over the globe. So we believe it's important, and I think you guys know the team that's on this call. They see it's important as well. So thanks for asking the question, Summer.
Josh, we actually had a question come in from the chat room, and someone is asking, what is our core values, and what, is there one specifically that stands out to each of us? How do you want to tackle that? You guys want to divide them up?
Yeah. Why don't I take the A?
Okay.
Okay. We made it simple as well. So I'll take the A.
I'll take the C.
I got D.
That's going to inspire. So ACDI, the A represents acknowledge awesomeness. And, we have biweekly stand-ups, we have kudo emails we send out, but, on a regular basis, it's important that we acknowledge awesomeness within our team as well as within our, our partnership. So that's a core value, I think, that, probably holds true for everyone on this call.
So the question was, was there a certain core value that we felt was stronger than any other? I would tell you they're all four of our core values have equal importance and strength within our organization. For me personally, I think challenging ourselves, which is the C, is resonates the most with me. Very important for us to continue challenging ourselves, continuous education, get ourselves outside of our comfort zone, think of new ideas, new ways of approaching things. And, humanly, the human trait that's not a common path. So to have that support system to encourage that throughout the day, throughout the week, I think is critical.
All right. So D, I think, is next in our alphabet that we're speaking, and that stands for displaying professionalism. For me, that means a lot, right? Our business, I think it's been said multiple times today, is built on relationships, right? And I think that goes with the mutual respect and how you handle yourself, whether you're individually out doing something or whether you're in a group environment. You want to always try to find a way to display that professionalism. And I think it just goes hand in hand with what we have to do every day, whether we're working with our partners, whether we're working with our friends over at PaperCut or someone new to us that we're meeting at a show. Always handling yourself accordingly and displaying that mutual respect and professionalism goes a long way. And it's really the core of our business, and what we do is being able to sell effectively and having a friendship and a partnership that goes beyond just these company walls. You saw my god dog Paco. Jeffrey and I are great friends for a long time, but we challenge each other, in a professional manner. But we got to hold each other accountable, and we got to move forward all the time. So it's great.
Awesome. I'll take the I. I got to do a review about an hour before this kickoff, and one of the questions was, how well does this employee match up with our core values? And all four are listed: meets expectations, above expectations, or outstanding and role model. And I'm going to make Meg blush. I gave her an outstanding role model, but then I explained why. Because in the East region, which is our #1 in the United States, she is constantly praising those that support: Jason and Stewie and Tanya and project managers like Carol, and it was Keith. She's always giving credit. She's acknowledging awesomeness. Ask her if she wants to take on a new challenge. She says yes, and then figures out how to do it. whether it's internally or with external customers and resellers, she's always a consummate professional, even though sometimes she will make one of my ears bleed with words you can't imagine she says. She doesn't carry that into the field. She's always a professional. And I told her as a result of that, she is truly an inspiration to her coworkers and her reseller community. So it doesn't have to be at work. You could do something in your community, who knows? But we do one good thing on our sales meetings, and we kick off biweekly stand-ups with comments, suggestions that adhere to our 4 values. And it's been kind of cool to do that. And by the way, Greg, happy anniversary. You've been an awesome addition to our team.
All right.
Awesome, guys. And thank you as well for the question as well. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free, send them in the chat. We'll get them answered here at the end as well. And Jeff, I think it's your turn that I popcorn to you. And I know we kind of talked about our core values a little bit, but a big question is, how do you maintain and promote these for the virtual employees? Because so many companies now, are having to go back to virtual or are still virtual. So how do you make an effort to make those virtual employees feel included in the company culture, being so far removed?
Yeah, so boy, we have got a lot of chat boxes open throughout the day. We're on the phone quite a bit. We try and meet up regionally to try and take care of each other and see how we're doing. We weren't seeing any birds this day, folks. That look on my face is 80 degrees, sitting in a goose blind, and no birds are flying over us. So that's another story. But I think with virtual employees, I boil it down to the 5 F's, and it's something that we dropped on the team about a year ago. So if you want to write these down, I'll go through them quickly and we'll transition on. The first one is field. Ironically, I'm in a field. Do you have the right people? Are you investing in your people? Are you developing your people? Do your people feel like they're an important part of the mix? Part 2 is, what is the mix? And that's focus. Where is your focus? Is it on driving net new? Is it increasing attachment rate? Is it exposing a new vertical market? Where are you focused? Where's your next challenge? Okay, so that's F number 2. F number 3 is fundamentals. How sharp are your demos? How good are your proposal opportunities? How up to date is CRM with your activity that are high impact? It's the basics, staying in. So when we on a weekly basis review those core values, we do them against the field, the focus, and fundamentals. And if that's all good, y'all, then your forecasting should be pretty good. You can't have good forecasting without the right people, the right focus, and the right fundamentals. If forecasting looks good and we're on the right track, the last one is fun. That's when it really gets to be a good time. And when I ran through this with Martin Catalini in South America, he said, Jeff, there's something very important you're forgetting. I want to add another F, and that's family. For their culture, it's important to talk about developments in families. How are your kids? And it's like, don't overlook the importance of that in some cultures. So it is, without a doubt, it is field, focus, fundamentals, forecasting, and fun. And if you guys want a deeper dive into that, by all means, give me a buzz. Let me know. It's one of my favorite talk tracks. Ask Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And if you guys also can't tell a theme here, all 4 of these guys really love duck hunting. I don't know if they shoot as many ducks as they'd like, but they do enjoy it. All right. So Mark, popping to you next. So a lot of companies right now are switching their go-to-market strategies from, territory to specialized verticalization. So as a company, when does one make that change, and what aspects, could they and should they be aware of?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I love this one. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Winston Churchill, who said, "To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often." And that's one thing we always have to be considering. And in this kind of context, I'd like to, look at the word change to improvement, right? We're always out here looking to improve our business and driving our company forward. Josh said it best, it's better than yesterday. We always look to that to see what can we do better. I've been in this industry now for 25 years, which is crazy. I mean, I'm not even that old. But the thing that I love the most is how well we adapt. If I look to the north a little bit, from Midway here in Lexington, we have Walt's Business Systems up near Cincinnati. They opened their doors in 1892, right? So that's a 30-year-old company now that has adapted over many years, starting off as a typewriter repair shop, and now, a leading provider of copiers and services throughout the Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio area. If you were to listen to a lot of people who in their day was talking about, that this industry is dying, I think you can look to Waltz and others about how we're not dying. We're adapting, we're changing, and that's what we're really good at, right? So when I talk to companies about, what does change mean, I think we have to look at it through a couple of different lenses. One, we talk about adjacencies, and the other, we'll talk about diversification. So adjacencies are things that complement your current business. We're in the imaging space. So if we look at things like print, scan, document management, capture, those are all adjacent to a device, to the print world, right? If I look back at over the last couple of years, PaperCut is by far the leader in print management, all things print, mobility print. I mean, they set the bar high every day for what we're doing in print. They added some scanning utilities to kind of basic scan to offer some new features there, but there was some additional requests coming in from the market to really get into the capture space to help out, to compete with some other products that are out there that had both. So ACDI brought on a product called ScanShare. Now those two complement each other. Single sign-on with PaperCut, you can get into ScanShare, do some awesome workflows on the back end. But that was a way that we looked at it and said, this is an adjacency. This is a product that's going to help us sell more PaperCut. This is a product that's going to open up more doors for us and our partners to be able to talk about a pure print and scan solution that they didn't have access to before. So that was something that we're very proud of and looking for adjacencies, right? Now, if we start to look at diversification, our dealers are venturing off and working with cameras and security systems. Over the last couple of years, some of them are offering health screening devices. Some might even be offering these new things called Terra EV chargers. There's a lot of buzz in the industry about that right now because people are looking for new ways to grow their business. I was on with one of our partners yesterday, and he said, Mark, we've got a plethora of technicians that are out in the field. We're very competent, but the number of errors and things that they're fixing every day are going down. We want to be able to utilize those technicians and that fleet of people in different manners. And so we're looking for ways to help them out, right? But I'll end with this. Last week at the ECS conference, great friend Ed McLaughlin was speaking about change. And it kind of hit home to me in this kind of context where he brought up a topic about Eastman Kodak. Great company, had great leadership at the time, and they had posted one of their most profitable years ever in the history of the company 1 year prior to applying for bankruptcy, right? And so what that was is they kept holding on to old technology. They were buying up smaller companies for an old technology that was moving on. They didn't really want to pay attention to Fujifilms and where everything was going with digital. And so investing in that older technology and ignoring the market's desires was part of their downfall. And that's what we can't allow to happen in our industry and in the dealerships, right? Another, if we want to look at it, Blockbuster Video. Don't have to say anything else, right? How quickly that company came and went because they were not willing to adapt. So what I'll tell you is take the time is now to look at new things, whether they're adjacent to what you are doing, whether they are a true diversification that you're not used to, and get into those markets and don't let it pass you by.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. That was really good advice because, change is inevitable. It's always going to happen. And, you're the fate of your company can depend on if you adapt to that change and then also what you do with it. So that was awesome. Really good advice. And Greg, I will popcorn to you next. And that Santa Claus picture as well, I forgot to talk about that. That's a really good picture. But if you guys want to see Mark in a Santa outfit, I will say, go look at our webinar from last month. It was a good one. But Greg, popping over to you, this year all about, growth and change, what we just talked about. It's been growth in revenue, growth in employee development, and growth in our company just overall. So how do you manage and lead different departments towards, our one main goal, but also having, different key performance indicators and metrics, in every single department? So with all those different, initiatives, how do you maintain the oars, rowing in the same direction?
Sometimes if you're watching me, it probably doesn't seem like I'm in very much in sync. These oars are probably flapping everywhere, but I'll tell you, it has, fundamentally, it has to be getting the right people in the right seats of the bus. If you have the right leadership, you have the right managers, then you can work on the communication. But I will tell you, it's a daily challenge. I think it's a daily challenge for every organization out there. But if you have the right people, and I will say a united people, that you send one unified message, and you set your KPIs that they cross-reference each other, so they support each other, and you're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. And the larger the organization, the more challenging it is, but communication is key.
Greg, I'll jump on that one a little bit. You as Jeff mentioned, you've been with us a year now, and I think the one thing that you talk about is getting the right people in the right seat of the bus, and having you come onto our group was key, right? I mean, one of the things that you helped us do is look at what we're doing every day from a leadership level, and not coming from our industry, given a different approach. And I think that was refreshing for us here at ACDI. And, another key thing was bringing us together every day. I feel like this is our ELT meeting, guys. We get on the phone every morning, rain or shine. Sometimes even Greg was texting on New Year's Day. He's like, "Are we meeting today?" I think he forgot it was a holiday, but it was like, it becomes part of our daily activities so that we can all be on the same page and we all know what's going on. And that was, I think, key for me for this year, and really helped in 2021 of guidance and alignment for all of ACDI. Is just giving that direction and communication. So thank you for that. And I think that's the thing that would challenge each of you guys to do is finding that core group and talking through what it means to come together and to communicate. Greg's probably the best listener in the world. I think I say he's fishing all the time, but he's a great listener, and that helps us all move forward. So Greg, thank you for that.
It's definitely
Awesome.
a team effort.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And, kind of talking on, leadership and teamwork, we did have a question come in, and they want to know if you guys have any book recommendations, podcast recommendations, anything like that involves around leadership or leading an organization.
I wasn't going to do this until Mark mentioned the daily SLT meeting that we have. That came from Pat Lencioni's book, Death by Meeting. It was just an idea of constant communication, and it trickles down throughout the team, whether you do it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. If you haven't read it, it's a quick read. So Lencioni hasn't written a bad book, I don't believe. So I would recommend that.
I think as a leadership team, we've read and discussed 3 of his books: Death by Meetings, The Motive, and the notorious 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I would encourage anyone to read those and just see what you glean from it.
I'm a big fan of Pappyland. It's a great book about bourbon and Kentucky. I mean, it talks. Maybe that's not appropriate, but it's a very good book, and probably one of the best I enjoyed last year.
Mark, if anybody says they haven't read that yet, would you send them a copy if they go ahead and fill in the chat?
I will, and we can have a drink of Pappy and discuss it and have our own little book club with it.
There you go.
Be careful what you
I would
ask.
say that from a podcast perspective, I listen to several. One of them that's fast and it hits well for salespeople is the Advanced Selling Podcast. So whether you are responsible for a book of business or in a support role, if you engage with customers and you dabble at all in the pipeline, It's the longest running podcast I think that's out there. They're HQ'd out of Indy, and there are two people that discuss random topics for about 10, 20 minutes a couple times a week. It's awesome. The Advanced Selling Podcast. Give you something to talk about in your team meetings as well.
Hey, Jeff, I think that's great advice, and I think many people on the call looking at the attendees will probably take you up on that. But I also I see some guys that own their dealerships that are attending, and sometimes I think there are different phases in our careers where we feel like maybe there's a lid or we've capped out. And if you feel like that, I'd recommend a book that there's a couple of them, but The Future's Faster Than You Think. I've brought it up a few times on other calls, but I want to say it's Peter Diamandis is his name, and Stephen Kotler. Future's Faster Than You Think. It'll open your mind to new ideas, new way of doing things. They also wrote a book called, I think, Bold and Abundance. Phenomenal 3 books. But depending on where you are, if you're looking for new ideas, new ways of thinking, and different exponential technologies, I think they're phenomenal writers and authors and technologists.
Grab this magazine if you don't have it, the Workflow magazine from Trisha's group. It's wonderful and a lot of great things. Listen to Andy Slawetsky does a lot of great podcast interviews with people. The Canada Report. We got a lot of people out there in our industry that do some great things as well. Really talking to each individual. So I would highly encourage you guys to join in and listen into those guys.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you guys for answering that. And that's all the questions that I have for you guys, and thank everyone else who asked some questions. And we still have some time left, so feel free if you have any last minute questions, you can drop them in the chat box. We'll get them answered. But like I said, that kind of wraps everything up. Just make sure you guys, follow us on all of our social media. Our marketing team, Pete and Kelly and Caleb, they do an incredible job, and everyone else on promoting us and ACDI, and they're a lot of help behind the scenes. So make sure you, give them credit and follow us on that. And guys, do you have anything else at all that you want to add?
Just thank you. Thank you to all of our partners, dealers. Thank you to PaperCut and everybody over there for joining and helping us out every day. It means a lot.
Go that. Thank you, everybody.
Great job, Summer.
Thanks, Summer.
Thanks, Summer. Enjoy FETC, the warm weather.
I will. And like I said, these webinars are recorded, guys. So if you guys had to step out for a call, anything like that, feel free to follow us on YouTube and watch these. Or, if you missed a good picture that you want to screenshot for blackmail, feel free to do that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Bye.